Wow. So while I was talking about boxed chocolates, Chad was going overboard over here and making this gorgeous display so he can explain what's inside all our different products. So I'm going to pull up a stool, and you want to take us on a tour? This is so exciting.
So our truffles, we have 9 different types,
Okay.
or flavors, I should say. Our truffles are English truffles. The English distinguishes them from other truffles, like there's a French truffle, and I think there's a German truffle as well. We have a hard chocolate shell, which is basically just our chocolate, and then the center is the real truffle part. It's the ganache, dense, really creamy, flavorful part
Isn't
of the
it
truffle.
ganache, not
Probably.
ganache? Oh, so I really like the truffles from Trader Joe's
Those
that
are
they
French.
used to sell. Those are French, but they don't
French.
have the outer shell.
They don't have the outer shell. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Okay.
So we have 9 different types. So you'll notice that they all have different colors on the outside or the inside, and so we'll walk through what they all are. You can distinguish them all without cutting them open, and there's always hints of what's inside by what's on top. So we'll start over here. This is our champagne truffle. You can see that it's milk chocolate, and it has white chocolate stripes. The stripes give you the hint as to what's in the center. It has a white chocolate center that's flavored with real champagne. Now, whenever our products have any alcohol flavoring in them, it's a real alcohol that's boiled down, which means that all of the actual alcohol evaporates and there's no alcohol passed to the customer, but we actually use real champagne.
So
we don't use
bring your own beer.
We don't
There's nothing
use,
alcoholic in the
We don't
store.
use artificial flavoring, especially for things like our truffles, because this is the top line of what we sell. The raspberry truffle is dark chocolate. You can see the difference between that and the champagne. It's a little bit darker in color, a little more black than brown, and it's got stripes of what looks like white chocolate as well.
And that
so
white chocolate
the white
is-
chocolate's colored because it has freeze-dried raspberries in it. So those raspberries are mixed, broken down. They're really, really fine. So you're not going to get like a raspberry chunk. They're ground down quite a bit, and then they're mixed, and that's actual raspberry flavoring the white chocolate center. And that color is all natural.
So it's real fruit,
It's real fruit.
real color.
Yeah, real fruit. Next we have our hazelnut. It's got a little bit of crushed hazelnut on top. Again, it's a milk chocolate shell, and you can see it has a milk chocolate center. The almond is next. This has a little bit of crushed almond on top, and it's a dark chocolate shell, but it also has a milk chocolate center. So you can see the difference in color between the center and the
It
shell.
looks like
of
they
that one.
alternate. So, well, at least these 2 nut ones it's milk and milk, dark and milk.
Yeah.
So it's easy to remember hazelnut versus chocolate for me because I know that the
Versus almond.
almond, it used to be called amaretto, but then we decided to become more user-friendly.
Next is the Irish cream. We have a milk chocolate shell, and it's a milk chocolate center.
Okay. That's kind of confusing because the Irish cream looks almost identical to
Sometimes
the
it'll look
hazelnut.
very similar to the hazelnut, and they are both milk chocolate, but you see a little bit more of a white color with the Irish cream than you do
Yeah.
with the hazelnut, because the hazelnut is actually a crushed nut.
Yeah, so this is a little bit more
And there are some
yellow.
batches that look a lot more similar than this, but this is a little bit more of like a tannish brown than it is a white. You can see that this is definitely white. And it's also not a nut, it's in shreds.
Yeah, okay.
We'll go over here next to the malt truffle. Malt is barley, and so there's little chunks of barley chocolate dipped barley on top. You have a milk chocolate shell again, and it's also a milk chocolate center. That is the closest we have to just a straight milk chocolate truffle. We felt like it was important to add a little bit of malt to it to make it unique, but that is, if someone wants a milk chocolate truffle, that's what I would point them to.
Yeah, it has a teeny, tiny grit, right?
Just
Like-
a little bit, and the malt is
tiny.
very, very light flavoring. It's not a heavy malt presence except for what's on top.
So it's kind of like a malt is, when you get a milkshake, you can get a milkshake or a malt.
Yes.
And so this is the same malt as it's just a little bit of barley.
Yep.
Okay.
Next we have the mocha truffle, milk chocolate outside. You'd think that this would be a little bit more closer to a regular milk chocolate truffle than the malt because of how it's decorated, but it definitely has a very strong coffee taste.
Yeah.
And so it's not as close to just a plain chocolate as the malt is. It is a milk chocolate center as well as a milk chocolate
They're
outside.
just so pretty.
Then our dark chocolate truffle is by far our most popular truffle. It outsells all the other ones 3 to 1. It has a dark chocolate shell and also a dark chocolate Grenache center. And then last but not least, we have our peppermint truffle. You get a hint on what's inside by the white chocolate stripes over the dark chocolate shell. It's a white chocolate peppermint peppermint oil flavored white chocolate. We use peppermint oil because it's the purest thing we can find that's the real flavoring. So that's our line of truffles.
Okay, so go over them really quickly. So this one is...
So we have champagne, raspberry, hazelnut, almond, Irish cream, malt, mocha, dark chocolate, and peppermint.
That's amazing. Well, you just took that next level. I would not have been that thorough. That's really good that you're doing this training.
Cool. And then the other things we have in the truffle case, the only thing we don't have to cut up today is a cream, but we have everything else that we sell.
Well, isn't this a cream? It's kind of in the same class, right?
No, it is actually distinct. We'll talk about that when we get there.
Okay.
We'll start with just our Tuttles. Our Tuttles are our best-selling product in the truffle case. Our Tuttles is our trademark name for turtles, which are any combination of caramel, nut, and chocolate. And so we have a few different varieties of this, but they're all going to be a similar consistency to this. So this is our milk chocolate pecan Tuttle. It has pecans, caramel, and chocolate. You can distinguish this from the others from the 3 stripes on top.
Okay.
We carry this in both a milk and dark chocolate shell. We also have cashew Tuttles, which are just cashews, caramel, and chocolate, and milk and dark chocolate. And we carry macadamia nut Tuttles in white chocolate and milk chocolate.
Yeah, and those have an M and a C on them, respectively.
Yeah, and so they'll have a little writing on the top so you know what's inside, and you can distinguish it from the other ones.
Yeah.
Next in line here, we have our cherry cordial. As you can see, with it cut open, is there's an actual cherry inside, and then there's the cherry juice as well. It's not a cherry liqueur, it's a cherry juice. And then we have those in milk and dark chocolate shells. You can see there's a little C written on the top, so you can distinguish it.
Cool.
Next we have bonbons. Bonbons come in both strawberry and chocolate. A bonbon is different from a truffle because the center is not quite as dense. And it's also different from a cream because the center is not quite as gooey.
Okay.
I like to describe it as a really, really dense whipped cream texture. It's still a dense center where it's not going to fall out like the cherry cordial or a cream would, but you can see it touched something and it moved a little bit. Those Grenaches, if you touch them, they're not going to move at all.
Okay, so do you want to squeeze that a little bit so we can kind of see
you can see how it moves a little bit. There's just a little bit more viscosity to it than with a Grenache center. The strawberry ones are hugely popular. They're white chocolate shell, and there's just like the raspberry truffle, it's freeze-dried strawberries in there. You can actually see, if you look closely, the bits of strawberry. That means that we're not using any artificial colors inside, but it also means you're actually getting bits of real strawberry in these.
Cool. And then the dark chocolate bonbon is dark chocolate.
It's just a chocolate. It's not a dark chocolate bonbon.
Oh, okay.
But it's a milk chocolate flavored center. It has dark chocolate stripes on the top.
So it's white,
also
dark
white.
chocolate stripes. Yeah.
Next we have our caramels. Our caramels are incredibly popular. They come in milk and dark chocolate. We work hard so that our caramel is a good consistency between what gets stuck in your teeth and then also what's so brittle that it might chip a tooth. And so we really try to have that consistent middle ground between those two extremes with all the caramel in our store. This tends to be...
Wait, I just got to stop you because I don't think, if I think of those extremes, if I was going to chip a tooth, I'm going to throw that in the trash.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we've messed up caramels before.
It's never been that bad.
It's never been that bad. So it's more like there's a nice crunch to our toffee, but this is the gooey.
Yes.
So
this is gooey, but it's not gooey. Once again, it's not like the bonbon. If I squeeze it, it's not going anywhere. You can see how it maintains its shape. It doesn't spill out. Basically, it's not maintaining its shape as I crush it, but it's not oozing out. Yeah. So it's not an oozy kind of caramel. But yeah, you're right. It's not.
So I just had a good laugh about that. Wait, I want you to squeeze a truffle really quick, just so that we can see the difference. If you just let my camera focus really quick.
So you can see how it just falls apart. It doesn't even move.
I think it's not going to break up quite like it's winter right now. So.
But it doesn't. See, I'm pushing that with all my might, and it's barely budging at all.
Yeah, so that's really dense.
It's really, really dense.
Yeah, and I can see how it's. Oh, that's so cool. You can actually see the imprint of your glove on
Yeah.
it because you applied
'Cause I pushed-
pressure.
put
And if
pressure.
you applied pressure with a latex glove, it would melt it.
Yeah.
Whereas because of the texture, it's leaving an imprint because it's so firm. And then that's super dense. But I think in the summertime, if it's a slightly warmer temperature, it's gonna be more melty. But because it's winter,
Just a little bit. It's still not going to melt out of there.
Yeah, no,
but
no,
yeah,
it's
but just-
definitely not like
it
a
is
cream.
definitely going to be a
Yeah.
little bit softer in the summertime.
but it's still like there's nothing grainy. It's similar to our fudge in texture in the sense that there's nothing grainy about it. It's incredibly smooth. And I think I remember reading about particle size for your tongue, that there's a certain molecule size that your tongue isn't going to pick up on. And all of our product is small enough so that your tongue is never going to pick up on the texture, which is why, like with ice cream, it's so important that it not melt and refreeze,
yep.
because then your tongue will pick up on that particle
Yeah,
size.
because those ice crystals, basically, once they melt, they expand. And
Yeah.
so if they refreeze, they don't have the same texture.
Yeah, which I think really differentiates our product from other truffles and bonbons, because I don't have that experience with other products.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the one thing we don't have to show you today is a cream. We carry vanilla butter creams and milk and dark chocolate. Sometimes we even carry maple creams or chocolate creams. And creams, if you pick them up, they'll slowly start to drip out, basically. So they're
Yeah.
a lot more gooey than anything else I showed you. We usually have vanilla butter creams, and then the maple and the chocolate creams are just something we have that come in seasonally.
Yeah.
So the other two things are really specialty items that are in our case. This is orange peel dipped in chocolate. So the orange peel is taken, and they're actually sliced off oranges, and they're rolled in sugar. And what the sugar does over time is it gels that orange peel. So it's kind of like a jelly inside, but it's a jelly made from an actual orange peel. So sometimes there's orange peel bits in there.
Okay.
And we dip them in, these are dark chocolate. We always carry dark chocolate.
We can't even get.
We can get milk chocolate,
Yeah.
but the dark chocolate ones are the ones we feel like that's a better combination for what this.
Oh,
product
so we
is.
can't. The Petoskey Kitchen does make
They
milk
do make
chocolate.
milk
Oh,
chocolate.
okay. I didn't even think it existed because I wouldn't eat
Yeah,
it.
we've never sold those in any of the stores I've worked in, just because the dark chocolate's a much better combination with the orange.
Yeah.
So a lot of
So
people
is-
see these and they're like, "Ew, you're eating orange peels," but it's different because of that process of what the sugar does to the orange peel over an extended period of time. It's
Yeah.
it's almost like a jelly on the
It's
inside.
not. It's a little bit firmer than like a gummy bear.
Yes, it's definitely firmer than a gummy bear.
Yeah.
So, and then the last product on the board here is probably my favorite in the case. These are our almond toffee bars, and so this is the only way you can get toffee in our store. So you can see the center is that toffee center. We have them in milk or dark chocolate, and then they have almond pieces drizzled or sprinkled on. Thank you, on top. So our toffee is basically our caramel cooked to a higher temperature with a little bit more butter, and so it's got a crunch to it when you bite into it, but it has that like flaky butteriness to it. So it's not gonna crunch and just break. It sort of breaks in flakes, if that makes sense.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a really nice texture.
Why don't you snap that for us so we can
Yeah,
kind
so
of see?
you can,
So
it always has a good snap to it. See how that breaks?
yeah, and it does. You can. There's like a soft sound to it too.
Yeah.
Like it really. It is. It's strange to say because it's so dense, but it is flaky.
Yeah.
So buttery.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
The only other things in our truffle case that I didn't pull out are clusters, and clusters are simply almond pieces, peanut pieces, or toasted coconut mixed with chocolate and then just spooned out in little clusters.
Why don't you actually grab like one of each of those just so visually people can see
They can see
them?
those too?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
And they are the same as like a cluster and a bark is basically the same thing. It's just a different shape.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just chocolate and
Yep.
an inclusion. But let's still grab one or two of those just to show them because sometimes the visual is helpful.
Okay, you want to pause?